Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep right into the heart of your car's engine to solve the mystery behind a very specific and very destructive sound.
You know the feeling. You're heading up a hill, you step on the gas, the engine is really working hard, and then you hear it. That distinct, troubling, metallic ping. It's a noise that makes any car owner's heart sink, and honestly, for a very, very good reason.
So that ping, it's not just some random noise. It's the sound of destructive chaos, tiny, uncontrolled explosions happening inside your engine's cylinders. But modern engines, they have a hero. It's a tiny electronic ear that's always listening for this chaos and stops it dead in its tracks. To really understand our hero, we first have to understand the villain.
Okay, so first things first, let's get to know the villain of our story. What exactly is engine knock, and what makes it so incredibly dangerous?
This slide really breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got normal combustion. Think of it like giving a swing a nice, steady push. The flame expands smoothly and evenly from the spark plug, creating a gradual rise in pressure that pushes the piston down. But on the right, that's detonation or knock. This is a violent, chaotic explosion. Before the main flame even gets there, another pocket of fuel and air just spontaneously ignites, creating a supersonic shockwave. It's not a push anymore, it's a brutal hammer blow.
And believe me, that hammer blow has some serious consequences. The force is so intense, so abrasive, that these shock waves can literally blast away the metal on the surface of the piston. Mechanics have a name for it. They say it has a sandblasted appearance.
And if you let this go on and on, the damage becomes catastrophic. We're not talking about small problems here. We're talking about the absolute core components of your engine being torn apart from the inside. Broken piston rings, bent connecting rods. This is the kind of stuff that leads to complete and total engine failure. So stopping knock isn't just about making your engine run better, it's about its very survival.
So, how in the world does an engine protect itself from literally tearing itself apart? Well, it's time to meet our hero, the knock sensor. And its superpower comes from a really fascinating bit of physics.
The magic behind this whole thing is called the piezoelectric effect. Now, that sounds complicated, but the idea is actually super simple. When you squeeze or put pressure on certain types of crystals, they create a tiny electrical voltage. That's it. It's a direct conversion of physical stress into an electrical signal. And this single principle is the absolute heart of the knock sensor.
So let's crack one of these sensors open and see what's going on inside. When your engine block vibrates from a knock, that vibration moves a little weight inside the sensor called a seismic mass. This mass then presses down on that special piezoceramic crystal. And just like we just talked about, that crystal generates a voltage. The stronger the vibration, the higher the voltage. It's just an incredibly elegant and direct way to hear what the engine is doing.
Now, it's important to note that not all knock sensors are created equal. The older designs, the narrowband sensors, they were kind of like a tuning fork. They were built to listen for one single, very specific frequency. But modern engines use broadband sensors. These are much more like a sensitive microphone, listening to a whole range of frequencies, and that makes them way more accurate and adaptable, which is absolutely crucial in today's complex, high-performance engines.
Okay, but here's the really clever part. How does it know the difference between a dangerous knock and all the normal clatter of valves opening and closing and fuel injectors firing? Well, it's all about frequency. Engine knock creates vibrations in a very specific range, usually between 5 and 15 kilohertz, and that range is actually determined by the physical size of the engine cylinders. The car's computer knows exactly what frequency to listen for, letting it filter out all that background noise.
So the sensor is the ear, right? It's listening. But it's the engine control unit, the ECU, that's the brain of the operation. It's the part that takes the sensor's signal and executes a precise split-second plan to take out the threat.
Now, the ECU is incredibly smart. It's not listening all the time. That would be a waste of energy, and it would pick up all sorts of junk signals. Instead, it opens what's called a knock window. It only listens during the very specific part of the engine cycle where knock is actually likely to happen, which is right after the spark plug fires. As you can see, it opens just after the piston hits its highest point, or top dead center, and it closes about 50 degrees of crankshaft rotation later. Any vibrations outside that window? Totally ignored. It's a brilliant way to improve accuracy.
So, a knock gets detected inside that window. What happens next? The ECU's response is lightning fast and totally methodical. First, it instantly retards the ignition timing. That just means it fires the spark plug a little bit later in the cycle. This immediately lowers the pressure in the cylinder and stops the knock. Then it listens again.
Once the knock is gone, it cautiously, gradually advances the timing back toward that perfect, most efficient setting. It's always listening, always ready to react again. It's this constant, delicate dance right on the edge of peak performance.
And if you need any more proof of how unbelievably precise this whole system is, just look at this number, 20 Newton meters. That's the exact torque spec for the bolt that holds the knock sensor to the engine. If you tighten it too much, the crystal gets pre-stressed and it becomes hypersensitive, reporting knocks that aren't there. If it's too loose, it won't hear the real vibrations at all. Think about that. One tiny detail can make the entire protection system completely useless.
Okay, so why should you care about all this? Because this silent guardian, this little sensor, it can fail, and you really need to know what to look for when it does.
You see, if that sensor fails, your car's brain, the ECU, kind of panics. It often goes into a safe mode, where it permanently retards the timing just to be safe. The result for you? A noticeable loss of power, sluggish acceleration, and you'll be visiting the gas station a lot more often. Or even worse, the ECU doesn't realize the sensor has failed, and you start hearing that dreaded pinging sound again, which means your engine has no protection at all.
So, that check engine light pops on. You plug in a code reader and it can give you some amazing clues. A code like P0325 points to a general problem with the circuit. But look at P0327 and P0328, low input or high input. This could literally be caused by that installation torque we just talked about. A loose sensor gives a low signal and an over-tightened one can give a high signal. This is an incredibly useful chart for figuring out what's wrong.
The piezoelectric knock sensor has done an amazing job for decades. It really has. But technology never stands still. So what's coming next?
Get ready for this, because the next frontier is called ion current sensing, and it's a total game changer. Instead of listening for vibrations on the outside of the engine, this technology uses the spark plug itself as a sensor on the inside. See, after the spark fires, a tiny voltage is applied to measure how conductive the gases are inside the cylinder. A knock event dramatically changes that conductivity. It's a direct internal measurement that's completely immune to all the mechanical background noise. It promises a whole new level of precision.
You know, this jump from a simple vibration sensor to an intelligent, multi-function spark plug, it's a perfect snapshot of where technology is headed. It really leaves us with a question to chew on. As we start embedding more and more intelligence directly into the core components of our machines, what other simple parts are on the verge of becoming complex, data-gathering systems themselves?